Hello, my name is April. I'm making these videos for my stepdaughter Riley. They're basically just giving her advice through her teenage years. She just turned 13 a couple weeks ago. I hope that some of you out there get some helpful piece of advice from my video. I understand that maybe not everyone would agree with me, and I think people have different life experiences, and maybe the same piece of advice is not okay for everyone. So I just hope that some people get something out of this as well. The second piece of advice I would like to give you is don't live your life in regrets. Any major decision that you make in your future, I want you to think about something. Will I regret doing this later on? And I think that has been the thought behind a lot of my actions as a young person. Is I didn't want to get married too young and regret it. I didn't want to lose my virginity too young and regret it. I didn't want to not follow my passion in life and regret it. If you notice, a lot of adults nowadays, they have a lot of regrets, and that's something that I want you to consider. If you ever make any life decisions or even any small decisions, well, I regret this later on. I would say, like, something that I'm really glad that I didn't do was get married young. Now, I know that there are a lot of immature young people out there, and they got married young and it worked for them. But I would say for like the majority of people nowadays, I would suggest do not get married at a young age. The reason for this is you're in your parents' household, you're under their rules, and then you enter a relationship and you almost have another set of rules. Now, I know that relationships shouldn't be that way and marriages shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't be living by somebody else's rules, but you set aside things sometimes. You set aside maybe your personal goals. You set aside, there's a lot of changes when relationships are involved and marriages are involved. And I would say don't get married at a young age. I'm so glad that I didn't. I remember having my first boyfriend. I had him when I was 15 years old, and then I turned 16 and we were still together. We were, talking to each other, and we were kind of throwing around the marriage idea, whatever. It wasn't that serious, but I couldn't stand the fact that turning 18 and actually thinking about marrying somebody, my life would be over. I wouldn't get to experience what it is like taking care of myself or going to college, or I could get married and go to college, but it'd be really, really hard. And I didn't like that. I didn't like just being in my parents' house and then all of a sudden being married and then having children. And I wanted to take time for myself. I wanted to, develop myself still. I wanted to, take care of myself, have that independence, have that responsibility. And that thought excited me. I want to travel. I want to see places. I want to, just have fun with friends and hang out with friends and, feel single. I'm so glad that I didn't get married and I don't have to look back and regret on it. I know a lot of people that got married when they were young and they were divorced 3-5 years later. And I think that they're like, I wonder what it's like if I actually went to college and took nursing or being a dental assistant, or I wonder what it would be like if I actually did this instead, or I didn't get married so young and I actually pursued some of my personal goals. And I think that women start thinking that way, and then they're like, I kind of regret not doing that, and here I am married. And then they decide that maybe I don't want to be married anymore. Maybe I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. And then they get divorced, and then and then they do what they want to do. But a lot of times they might have children, or a lot of times they might have responsibility, or they already have that in their life. They already went through a divorce, and they already went through like certain challenges that maybe could have been avoided if they just waited. I understand that they're in love with somebody, but think of how if they waited and got their personal goals and still married that person, maybe they wouldn't be divorced at that time. And I just want to reiterate, I would wait on getting married, or wait on maybe a big, like a serious relationship, or taking a relationship seriously and going to that next step. And I also think of something else that I also didn't regret is waiting to lose my virginity. And I know that they said 38% of teenagers actually regret losing their virginity at an early age. And a lot of them envision something romantic, and it's not romantic. It wasn't ever, like that experience was a horrible experience in their life. And in women, it said 24% of women regret losing their virginity to the wrong person. I think 20% regret losing their virginity at a young age, and 23% regret cheating on their spouse. And it's sad because women have all these regrets, dealing with their sexual life. And it's sad to me. I don't regret any of that. I'm glad that I thought about it. I think the reason why women lose their virginity, or teenagers lose their virginity at an early age, is because they want to feel loved by someone. They want that attention, and they feel like if they give them their body, then they will be loved. And a lot of times that's not the case. It was a disillusion that they told themselves, and it didn't happen that way, and that's why did they have their regret in their life. And so just, I would suggest just thinking about it. Will I regret this if I do this right now? And you don't want to live with that regret. I'm going to tell you something that I do regret is I regret not paying attention in school. I regret being lazy and not doing some of my homework. I regret, not paying more attention in math. I regret not learning Spanish when I was younger. I mean, I'm trying to learn Spanish now. I'm trying to focus on that in my life. But look, I'm almost 30 years old and I still haven't done that. And I took German when I was a teenager, and I'm really glad that I did that. But then again, I never pursued it and made sure that I was fluent in that language. And I like learning new things like that, and that's why I still want to continue to do that. But I would suggest that that's something that I was always glad that I did and would never regret, is thinking about making a decision and be like, will I regret this later on? And I really hope that you take that aspect in your teenage years and in your young adult life and say, hey, if I do this decision, will I regret it? One thing I am definitely glad I did is I don't regret following my passion. When you have to support yourself, a lot of times you have to do things that you won't love, or you can't follow your passion. And one of the goals that I had for myself was becoming a store manager. I wanted to do that before I got married or settled down or even had a serious boyfriend. And the funny thing is when I got my store, that's actually when I really kind of met your dad. I've seen him around a few times, but that's when I actually talked to him. And I'm glad that I focused on, pursuing my career and becoming a store manager. I honestly didn't want to do it very long. I just wanted to accomplish that one goal in my life. And I would tell you, set goals for yourself, accomplish your goals, and focus on that. And I'm so glad that I was able to get that out of the way and accomplish that before I met your dad. And luckily, I'm so glad that your dad lets me pursue my own goals and be an individual, because I'm going to say a lot of times in a relationship, you're not going to have that chance. And I'm glad that he lets me be have that opportunity. And so I suggest, having your goals, get your goals accomplished, get your career accomplished before you, take a relationship seriously. So I would say that is my second lesson is don't do anything that you're going to have a big regret later on.